Hello. This week we'll be talking about the Chapter 2 case study, Why Employees Are Leaving Google and Facebook. As you work through these cases each week, I want you to keep in mind the integrative framework. Remember, the integrative framework has three components. They're saying there are inputs, processes, lead to outputs. Or another term for it will be outcomes. So in this case, okay, as we go through the chapters, we see various inputs, processes, and outputs. Some of the inputs we've gone through so far, right? They're knowledge, their skills, personality, there's values. These are all what we call personal factors. And as we get through, there's more what we call the environmental characteristics. And then processes. Like, it's the things in place which filter out, funnel through, react to those inputs. The key one which we're learning right now is emotions. Right? And then finally, outputs. What are some of the outcomes of the organizational level that we're really interested in? And there's three different levels of outputs, right? There's three different levels of inputs, outputs, and outputs, and processes. All right, there's the individual, the group, and the organizational. The individual, the group, and the organizational. These personal factors are the individual, and the environmental characteristics are the group and the organizational. So the outputs we're concerned about, right? The outputs that we're learning about so far, individual outputs, right? There's task performance. All right, there's also workplace attitudes. There's also citizenship behavior and counterproductive behavior, as well as turnover and career outcomes for the employee. At the group level, there's group and team performance, as well as group and team conflict. Organizational level would be financial performance, customer relations, customer support, those sort of measures. Now in this particular case, right, as I'm asking you to use retrograde analysis, reverse thinking. Right, if you remember the video from the first week of class, right, he's talking about retrograde analysis in terms of chess. It's the same thing here. We're going to look at which outputs are affected, right, to define the problem, and then we'll analyze what's affecting that problem in terms of processes and inputs, and then we'll come up with a solution. In this case, right, employees are leaving Google and Facebook. Why? Well, we'll get to that in a moment. Let's define the problem. Okay, remember, the problem, or defining a problem, is the difference between the actual state and the desired state, right? Desired state, they want people to stay at Google. Actual state, people are leaving. So, what's the problem? I would say, well, definitely turnover, right? Maybe somewhat career outcomes a little bit, but I think turnover is the biggest one. On average, companies spend about 25% of a person's annual salary in hiring, finding, training, recruiting, and the entire HR process to get them on board and up to speed. And for some jobs, it's actually even higher depending on the skill set required of the individual. So turnover is critical. Now, what processes and inputs? Well, yes, emotions affect it, right? From there, I would say their values, their personality. Why? People at Google might have an entrepreneurial mindset, right? They might want to be the part of the newest, the biggest thing. They might want to go at the ground level of a new company, raise it up, sell it off, and start all over again, right? It's that risk versus reward. It's that feeling of accomplishment, right? Think about the personality and the values of a person that is entrenched in that mindset, right? And the emotions when they have to go to work every day, even if it is for Google, even if they have a flexible schedule, even if they get 80% of the time to work on Google's things and 20% of the time to work on their own things, it might not be enough. So, turnover is a problem. And the emotions are the processes that affect it, and the personalities and values are the inputs that affect this problem. So then the solution. Some of the solutions that people came up with this week were to modify the 80-20 rule, right? Have maybe 80-20 when you start, 70-30 after 5 years, 60-40 after 10 years. It might work, might not work for some though, right? It might not be enough of an incentive. Someone else mentioned that they could have like a panel, right? A once a year thing, which everybody gets together and they showcase what they've been working on for the past year. This is in the right direction. There's a tech firm out in Seattle a few years ago, and they had an R&D team out there, about 25 people working on just projects out there. The CEO came in about 9 months into their term and said, we're canceling this entire R&D section, right? We're moving all of you out to other locations, and that's the end of it. Well, within 6 months, half of those individuals left the company. They're so furious and infuriated and upset with the company. Why? Because they felt like they wasted their time. They felt like they weren't appreciated. They didn't feel understood. They felt like their talents were being wasted. A consulting firm was brought in later to really hash out what happened, right? Where was the disconnect? Upon interviewing the employees, all they asked, right, if they said they would have stayed had the CEO just said, hey, we're shutting down this thing, this location due to cost overruns or whatever it is, but why don't you write a report, brief us, show us what you've been doing, right? Show us what you've been working on, show us why we've been paying you, tell us what we can do with your technology, right? Tell us what you're working on, where it fits into our bigger mission, where it fits into our vision, where does it fit into our company, right? What can we do with all the money we spent on you so far? This simple act will have cost the company almost nothing, would have garnered appreciation with their employees, right? It would have reduced turnover, right? It would have improved career outcomes, might have even improved task performance and work performance, definitely would have improved group and team performance, reduced group and team conflict. So, some of those things. Someone also mentioned the possibility of more highly vetting those individuals. This was a little bit trickier, right? Because we don't always know the exact personality, the exact values of an individual right, as they're coming on board, right? And they can change over time. So we can help, right, in the process component here, right? We can help modify their emotions as they're working through here, as we can see, hey, maybe he needs some more time here, or maybe he's not feeling happy. Let's find out what it is, right? That's our job as a manager to really figure out what's going on. So as you go through each week of the case studies, right, think in this setup, right? Look at the outputs, define the problem. Then look at the processes and inputs which affect that particular problem, and then give me some solutions. All right, look forward to seeing your results for this week's case study. Have a great week.